Hi, this is Sung, and I'm the Principal and Director of Sky Academy. And in this episode, what I want to be doing is showing you how to add or subtract surds. Now, I promised you that I would show you how to do this because you don't do it the same way as you add or as you multiply or divide surds. Okay, so you do multiplication and division of surds in a totally different way to adding and subtracting. So let me show you how you add or subtract surds. All right, and here's how you do it. You can only add or subtract surds with a common irrational component. So the irrational component is the bit inside the square root or the root. So you got root A and root A. All right. You can add those two together because they're common. But with a root A and a root B, if they're not common, you can't add them together and simplify them. Okay? And so we add or subtract, alright? We add or subtract surds by adding and subtracting the rational component. So the rational component is the number outside or the number in front of the surd. So if you've got x root a plus y root a, how many root a's do you have? You have x plus y of them. X plus y root a, right? But if you've got x root b plus y root b, you're left without being able to simplify any further. So you're just left with x root a plus y root b, okay? So let's have a look at some examples. I've got 3 up on the board for you. Now, the first example is really straightforward. You've got a root 3. Now, if you've got no number out the front, the number that you use is the number 1, because you've got 1 root 3. You've got 1 root 3 plus 2 root 3s, and then you're adding 4 root 3s. So how many root 3s would you have altogether? 1 plus 2, which is 3, plus 4, which is 7. So the answer would be 7 root 3. Now this one, alright, you can add the root 5s and the root 5s together. So you got 1 root 5 plus 3 root 5s, but you can't add the root 2s to the root 5s. You can only add the root 2s with the root 2s. Alright? So basically these two you can add together, these two you can add together, and they will just simplify like that. So root 5 plus 3 root 5, so 1 root 5 plus 3 root 5s gives you 4 root 5. And then you've got plus 1 root 2 minus 6 root 2 gives you negative 5, which ends up being minus 5 root 2. So you can combine these two, you can combine these two, and then you're left with those two at the end. Okay. Now, how do you do something like this? Sometimes, just because the irrational component is different, doesn't necessarily mean you can't add them together, and I'll show you why. The square root of 20 is actually equal to the square root of 4 times 5. The square root of 5 is equal to the square root of 5. And the square root of 18 is equal to 9 times 2. Now, you might be able to see where I'm going with this, right? The square root of 9 is 3. Square root of 18, or the square root of 9 times 2, is going to be equal to 3 root 2, because the square root of 9 is 3. The square root of 5 is just the square root of 5, and the square root of 4 is 2, so this is 2 root 5. Now, if you've got 2 root 5 plus root 5, suddenly you've got a common irrational component, which means that you can add them together. So 2 root 5 plus 1 root 5 is 3 root 5, plus, and you got 3 lots of root 2, which you can't really do anything with. So that will be the answer to something like this. So just be careful when you see a whole set of surds being added together and you don't think you can add them together because they don't have a common irrational component. Don't dismiss it straight away. See if you can simplify the surd, and by simplifying the surd, you might find that you can add and subtract them as well. Okay? So I'll leave this up on the board for you. This is how you add and subtract surds. Thank you very much for watching. In the next episode, we'll do a little bit more on multiplication and division of surds. Thank you for watching.